Hey everyone, Jim here from Discovery Divers. Thanks for tuning in. Today's topic is a favorite of mine, dive briefings. And it's a favorite because I love doing leadership training. It's a lot of fun. So this would be for current dive leaders, dive masters, instructors, etc., or people who are in training for such, or maybe in the future thinking to train. All right. So let's have a look at the outline. So I've got 9 points here for us today. Why the dive briefings are important. To emphasize, this is not a complete list. Talk about that later. How long, where for a dive briefing. The goals, other dive briefings to watch. There are lots of places to get good examples. And number 6, building the aquarium. That might be a DDT original expression. I'm not sure. I'm not going to. Modifying periodically as needed. And rare unforeseen complications, things that you didn't plan for or don't normally plan for. And last, the style of a briefing and how that might affect it. All right, so first, why briefings are important and necessary. And that kind of also gets into what's the purpose of the use, the purpose, the value of a dive master. And we do talk about that in our leadership training. Topic for another time. But as a dive leader, did you ever get to depth? Something happened and you got that sinking feeling, dang, I didn't tell them X or Y in the briefing, and now here I am. Hopefully these guys are cool. They're going to deal with whatever complication just came up. But maybe not. So very necessary. Also, remember, right, divers are usually, often, hopefully, independent diving buddies, and they're going to need your information to plan the dive and dive their plan, right? So they're going to need your information for that. Moving on, I'm going to emphasize this is not a complete list. This video is going to present some items for you as examples. However, if you're looking for a complete exhaustive list to work your briefing off of, lots of good resources on the net to find to do that for yourself, right? This is more of a philosophical, logistical approach. The philosophy of what to include and how to include it. Length of a dive briefing, how long is it going to be? I have no idea, right? It depends on that dive, how complicated, how simple. However, one thing that does reflect on the length for me is I always think about where my folks are during the briefing, right? So for example, I'm going to try and have them as much as possible. If I'm going to break up into groups afterward, I want to have as much as possible in one group. Saves me time, my dive leaders time, right? So we want to be together as much as possible. Then maybe they break up and get a little bit more briefing, a little bit more over here. Also, I'm thinking about comfort, right? The weather. If it's really hot outside, I want to find a cool or shaded place, right, for most of the briefing. If it's raining, I want dry. If it's cold, I want warm, right? So I want to have as much of that briefing as possible in a comfortable environment. If you're a diver, you know what I mean, right? Standing there in the hot sun, just melting, listening to something, it's really tough, right? Okay, next, goals of the briefing. On the one hand, we're essentially preventing divers from damaging, endangering, inconveniencing the dive operator equipment, staff, facilities, other customers, right? What might be protecting the boat, the rental gear, etc., right? And certainly protecting them from things that are going to harm themselves, of course, right? That's very big on some divers' minds, hopefully. But last, and probably in the diver's mind, most important, is how to maximize diver enjoyment, right? Most divers, they're thinking about what's good about this site. You know, why are we here? What's special? What can I see? What can I take a picture of? Where do I find it? Are you going to show me? Is it going to be here? You know, so they're really looking for the things that they want to see, that they're going to enjoy. And understandably, in most dive leaders' minds, especially new dive masters, the enjoyment factor is like last on their list. They're thinking, you know, how do I keep people safe? How do I stop the problems, right? So most of their briefing is focused on that. So remember the diver and what are they looking for, right? So once you really start to relax as a dive leader, those are the things you can spend more time on. Of course, not skimping on the safety. So listening to other briefings, so I do this a lot. right? I'm a great fan of building off the work of others, the good work of others, right? Anytime I go somewhere and someone's explaining something to me, right, I'm listening in terms of a dive leader, and I'm thinking, what are they saying? What I want to use in my briefing, or what are they saying that, probably that's not an approach that I think is effective, right? Amusement parks, tours, facilities, rentals, lessons, any of these things I go to, I'm listening to that briefing and always thinking, wow, what is it about this person that they're doing really well, or maybe not so well, right? And you can learn from both. This, as far as I'm concerned, might be the meat of this video. So building the aquarium, I think, might be an original to Discovery Divers. I don't know. I'll have a look at that someday. But here's the concept, right? Basically, you've got the ocean, right? And what I first started off doing, I said, all right, I've got the ocean, which is this infinite space. And within that space, I'm going to build an aquarium, right, with glass walls. And these walls are invisible barriers between the diver and danger, right? And so I'm going to tell them how to get into this aquarium, how to get out of it, how to maneuver around this aquarium, the things that are dangerous in this aquarium, how long are they going to be in this aquarium, how deep, what are the good things there, what are the things you want to stay away from. So I want to create a safe, interesting, enjoyable aquarium space within the ocean that they can have a great time and see great things and not get injured, right? So some of the things, these are not all the things, but some of the things, depth, how long can they be in that aquarium? In our environment, some of the water, they have to get out at a certain time because fishing boats are going to come in and drop nets and stuff. So there might be time requirements. Other places we go, they have rules actually about how much bottom time you can have, right? 35 minutes have to start coming up, or 45 minutes, right? You never know. Local rules about surface markers, boundaries, etc. Boat rules, right? Things to respect the boat so we don't get hurt and the boat can do its job. Very important, special signals, right? So some groups, like our group, right, we use some signals that might be original to us. I don't know, how much air do you have? This is our, what's your air? How much air do you have? We use one-handed number signals, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So these are things that are specific to some groups, and you want to announce those things right in the beginning, right? Yeah, this one's kind of a question. Reinforcing, reminding good buddy skills. I prefer not to waste my time on something like that if time is a valuable resource in a certain situation. However, if you're with low-level divers that you have questions about, that might be something that you'd want to go over, right? Lost buddy drills or whatever you think is necessary. Hazardous marine life, essential entry, exit information, right? Some of these aquariums, there's only one way to get in it and one way to get out of it. So then it's a very important thing, right? And then the good stuff to see, right? What are the fantastic things to see? And then last, right? I might be, a dive leader might be with all the folks. He might not be. Some people might be independently going through this, right? So I'll tell them, all right, here's the aquarium. Here's how I'm going to swim through it and why. If your groups would like to join me on that swim, maybe I could show you a few things. That's great. If not, right, follow the rules in the aquarium and you'll be okay, right? If it's a very complicated navigation, only one way in, only one way out, and danger if they don't, probably I might say, okay, yeah, everybody's going to be with a dive leader. But otherwise, you can leave them to their own devices within that aquarium. All right, periodic modification. If you ever come along to dive with us, hopefully you won't hear this very often, but every once in a while, a couple dive leaders will slap our face and say, oh man, something went wrong. Hopefully not a very big thing. And I say, there was a hole in the briefing. I call it, there's a hole in the briefing, a hole in the aquarium, essentially. Essentially, some diver, either I left out or a dive leader left out some part of that aquarium boundary, right? Left something out, and the aquarium and the diver found a way out of that safe space and hopefully didn't hurt themselves, but potentially found a way to mess up, right? They stayed too long, they went too deep, they went beyond some distance or whatever. Or some very resourceful diver found a new way, found a new problem in that aquarium, right? They're really swimming around, seeing what they can find. And I say, wow, I never knew someone could get in trouble that way, right? So if what you could think about for the future is whether or not it's worthy to put that particular point in your dive briefing. Very often, I have points in certain dive briefings for certain sites because just one person in 10 years had something happen, but it was so memorable, I include it in my dive briefing forever. But that's something that you want to consider is the frequency or probability of some issue, whether you want to include it or not. And that's definitely a point that our dive leaders will actively debate and discuss sometimes, right? This relates to the topic I'm going to say right here, and that's unforeseen complications, right? So I don't know about you, but I have some very strong memories of dive briefings, and we were going down expecting one kind of condition or one thing, and it's totally different, right? So for example, maybe you're on a dive site that maybe you've dove it for 8 years, never current, so you didn't really talk about current, right? And then you go in and some strange pattern, current is kicking, right? I went one site once, there was a dive briefing from the boat captain about, all right, here's where we're going. The current is going this way, so we're going to go over here. We're going to pick you up over there, la la la. I got down there, exactly the opposite direction current. And so I'm thinking, man, the whole plan is just destroyed. And I'm wondering what my divers are thinking. And, it's not like I can write a book down there. So you want to think about these potentially catastrophic changes and what would the situation be. For example, one thing I often include is I say, all right, listen, if I'm with some very new divers or divers who I suspect or they tell me are not great on air consumption, I might say, all right, it's very possible that we're going to finish first and have to come up because of an air constraint. So, you guys should continue on. And that would also be if you get separated from the dive leader, we told you how to get through this aquarium. If you're comfortable with that, continue on, do your thing. If not, right, go through the required procedure for that. And last, style, right? Over time, what new dive leaders are going to find, you do enough of them, you get a style. My style is humor and charisma. Your mileage may vary whether you think about that or not, but everybody's going to have a style, and it's not always going to be the same. But as long as it increases safety, increases diver enjoyment, I'm sure it'll do just fine. Okay, that's about it. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll be having other leadership series. I'm looking forward to those. As I said, leadership is a lot of fun, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Panda, 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 panda. I got broads in Atlanta, just at the lean in the family. Credit cards in the scammers, hitting the licks in the van. Legacies. Okay, divers, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you liked it, why don't you go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more of this about once a week, I guess even on the off season, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you'd like to come along and join the DDT team and dive with us, go ahead and hit, there's another link for that as well. Thanks for watching. See you soon on the beach. Bye-bye.